games for them. They've managed to get it over the line in both games. They are yet to beat G2 in EUL 2021, Des. They've lost both of the games in Stage 1 and Stage 2, despite Grizzly and Gorgona dropping 25 kills between the two of them in Stage 2. They still couldn't get a win. So they're going to have to do something special tonight.
One of those was a 7-1 loss on no map other than Clubhouse, which is where we step for a grand return. Arguably, things could not be any more different, though, of course, since that fateful day not too long ago. It was Uno and Kanto playing for G2, now with Hungry and Yonka in place. And for Cowana, of course, we've seen Kendrew step back, whilst Benja has stepped in. And my God, has he made a step into Stage 3 for a start to his season. We'll see if today is a yay day for Benja or if it's a nay day. But first, we've got to fly our way through these bans. Capital taken away. Kind of made me think that maybe you'd see the Wamai slink on through, because normally you'd see the Wamai being used to counter something like the Capital, but the two being taken away in equal pairing here. Sledge also being banned away by G2, a same ban target that we saw coming against them last week against Na'Vi. For Cowana, this is as a target towards Benja, because back in week 1, he played Sledge a lot on Bank and dropped, 20-odd kills, running between Vigil and Sledge. Not too surprised to see somewhat of a target ban going against him there.
At the end of the day, he's one of those players that teams are going to start looking at. They're going to start focusing on, because, as we say, he's come in, he's had a big impact. He's had some really, really great plays over the first couple of play days. And if he can keep that momentum and keep himself rolling, I'm sure he's going to be one of the names that we're talking about in EUL for a good long time. But in this one, it's going to be G2 versus Cowana on Clubhouse. We are getting ready to load into round number 1. G2, for me, they really need this win, Des. They had a tough game against Vitality in Playday 2. Na'Vi, I think we all remember what happened in Playday 1. 7-2 loss to Na'Vi, and then taken the distance by a Vitality that still didn't look to be on top form with a 7-5 win last week, G2. So for me, that win breaks the seal. This one, they need to come back and convince us now.
By the way, people out there are wondering why Ace is shilling for G2 so hard. It's because he's got them in his predictions.
Shilling, I'm just saying, they need to get the momentum
up.
G2
bias. I've gone for Cowana. So how about I let me shill a little bit, right? Last 2 weeks, they found themselves in overtime in both games. They put on one hell of a show against Empire and Na'Vi, beating both in overtime. Now, you've got the casters who love overtime. You've got a team that loves overtime. Which way is this game likely to go, Ace?
7-1?
Shut up. It's not going 7-1 again. It's not going to be a repeat. There are 4 or 5 new players in the server here compared to what we've seen before. However, let's see if this is a big game as well, because for Citizen, a player that was pretty quiet last week. Very unusual for Ben, the player that we normally see the one popping off and going absolutely huge in games for G2. Last week wasn't his loudest.
Well, no, and that could be a potential problem for Cowana, because we don't tend to see too many quiet weeks for Citizen. So if that's done and out of the way, done and dusted, and he comes back in here and goes big, it's always going to be difficult to keep him sort of on a leash when he's like that, because he's one of those players, like you say, who can just turn a bit of magic.
I remember this setup coming out of Cowana against Na'Vi. If you recall, they had the Thunderbird playing on the top floor. It was Sloth playing it at the time, so a small adaptation here in Benja being the one running the Thunderbird instead. But it's a similar thing where they've been running this interesting 3-floor setup that isn't quite the SSG roam that we're so used to seeing. Great C4 coming out of Benja, tossed out the window and catching on to Citizen. The ideal target to kill at the very start of the round.
Do Citizen's wars continue then into Playday 3 as he gets taken down with an early Nitro. Sloth just inside a CCTV, and he's not ready to let go of this breach anytime soon. Now, I like what Cowana are doing here, Des. They're right up in the faces of G2, giving them absolutely no space to breathe whatsoever. They don't even want to let them step foot inside of the map right now. Every time G2 go anywhere near an entrance into this map, they are being challenged.
As they should be as well. Give them something to think about. Waste their time. Burn the clock down. It's never going to sting you particularly much. But as you can see, they've all dropped their way down now with a few reinforcements left in back pocket. Have now dropped those up around Church, around Blue, just to really hunker down now that all members have retreated back to site. They got that one kill that they need. And what I like about this setup coming out from Cowana is they've actually left the bar hatch reinforced. For most teams when roaming on the top floor, you leave that open so you can drop through construction hatch, run across, drop through bar hatch, and hey presto, you're basically back on site and ready to join a defense. But here what you've had to do is then leave everything for G2 G2 still to do. They're only just getting set up inside of the hallway with 60 seconds still to play. That has been arguably a perfect roam coming out of Cowana to start this round out.
Certainly has. Kayak doing his work to try and get those vertical angles open. Kayak has had some big performances in Stage 1 and Stage 2 of this meeting. 19 kills across those 2 games. I'm sure he'll be looking for some more today, but right now G2 still haven't been able to find any response to that early opener that came out of the Nitro from Benja. Now Virtue looking to push onto the church wall. He's got Jonker established with him inside of Moto there, so G2 sort of in position, but these last 15-20 second bloodbaths are getting slightly rarer here on Church and Arsenal, but this is absolutely what we are going to see. The exothermic charge just being cleared off the wall. Grizzly manages to find Jonker on the thermite. Down goes Virtue as well. It is trouble at the mill for G2 as they start to get put through it. Shut down with a double from Sloth at the end, and that is going to be a fairly clinical opening round from Cowana.
Very comfortable opening round is how I best describe it as well. 2k for Benja, 2 for Sloth, who's holding in behind the mirror window on site. Just an overall good round from Cowana, showing how effectively you can play their own game and run the clock down. Again, G2 burning about 90 seconds, trying to deal with that top floor and losing their star fragger on the way through. Beautiful round for Cowana. The question now comes in about repetition. Can we see it happen 2, 3, 4 times over for them to get themselves a good sizable lead? Because at 1 round now, it's the same as last time. That's where they started, and G2 had everything else. So hopefully they push over that boundary of second round and onwards up towards potential victory.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I didn't really see much out of G2 there to say that they're going to be competitive. They need to show us more here in round 2, because that was very quiet from them to begin with. Really, it all went Cavana's way. And I mean, I don't want to keep shining a spotlight onto him necessarily, but Virtue is a player to keep watching, Des, because we're expecting him to be that sort of second string to Citizen, really, to come in there, to partner up with him, to get the frags, to put those numbers. And he's been struggling for a little while. So far in Stage 3, his KD is down at 0.57. It's just not going that great for him at the minute, and it could be, you know, it's one of those parts that G2 need functioning. You can't leave it all to Citizen to get every frag, and Kayak has his days, but really you're looking at Virtue as that sort of second entry player.
What I will give is he's not playing the second entry role here.
He's not.
They've made the change and he's stepped back into a more supportive spot. Second support in line to Jonker. And really looking towards Hungry, I think, being on the flex to be one that's stepping up alongside Citizen. Kayak obviously also looking to do a bit of work playing on that buck at the same time.
So the question is, are they going to be able to do it? Keep an eye on Kayak and Hungry for those kills. They need to back Citizen up because he can't play with the pressure of the entire team and the responsibility for all of the kills on his shoulders. Now, the mirror window has been knocked out there. That's just going to try and prevent Jonker getting this wall open, but he's going to go on the upside down rappel. He will get it done. Cleared off though, as we see. It's very, very easy. Once that mirror glass has been dropped, you can just send out the impact nades and just keep clearing the explosives off those walls. And it is going to be difficult now. G2 very possibly not going to get that wall open. They've got Virtue there as well, so they will continue trying, but they've already burnt a minute on it, and it is going to take longer yet before they get themselves established inside of the map here.
I'm quite rattled by how long it's taken them to get this done, mind you, and it's still jammed as well. This is ludicrous. They got themselves in a spot with the impacts coming out of Benja like 50 seconds ago and denied it, and rather than trying again, acknowledging he'd used both impacts, I think they were scared of more impacts coming out of the defenders, so thought, okay, let's play this sensibly, get ourselves set up. That's another 60 seconds wasted just through a single impact trick denial onto the exothermic.
And they're still not going through that wall. As we can see, the breach on the Selma just opened up a little bit too high. It's not going to create a vault hole. They will open up the line of sight into the cash room, but G2... Can
I just stress, by the way, this is gym bedroom. We spent 100 seconds.
This is what I was just about to come on to say. Like, G2 just... They seem a little bit lost, Des. I've got to call it as we see it, and struggling to get that East breach open, that's a problem. That is a problem.
It's one of those where I think it's more uncertain is the word I'd give. They know what they need to get done. It's just the lack of confidence in getting it done and wanting not to mess it up along the way. They should be able to get this one off quite easy. There is no denial, of course, out on this west side wall. No mute jammers down, for example. And sure enough, Jacuzzi is now open. But Ace, we mentioned 100 seconds have been burnt out towards the east side of the map. Now they've got west side open and they've only got 35 seconds to play with. They need to get a jiffy on.
Citizen might get himself caught out here. Very, very essential drone in there. But look at that. As the drone picks up Cowana and the attention possibly springs toward him, Grizzly is going to drop the hatch and find the opener onto Citizen. 4 versus 4, and Citizen once again nullified inside of this second round of Clubhouse. Jonker's in a position to start getting that diffuser down, though. Can they stick it? Unlikely, as Cowana and Benja manage to find 2 kills. 9 seconds left to go. Diffuser down in no man's land. They've got to step up and do something. Virtue manages to find himself a trade, grab the diffuser, but that is going to be all he does as Cowana moves in and gets that kill. And Cowana keep on rolling here on Clubhouse. 2-0 now.
I mean, that all came down to time. We spoke about how much had been lost out towards the east. Over half the round was spent trying to get an extended hold wall open. Like, that's normally done inside, what, 50, 60 seconds max? But Benja being quite cheeky, and I'll give it to, to Cowana. They could have played much more passively and said, right, mirror window, one on bathroom facing jacuzzi, the other goes inside of office and faces down into construction. It's your bread and butter go-to setup on this site. But they went really aggressive and committed it out towards that cash CC hold, and it paid off dividends for them. G2 just unable to break it open in good time and then was stretched from the rest of the round onwards. So a good start for Cowana, but I think the big question we're both asking after 2 rounds, Ace, is where are G2? This is not the G2 that we've been used to seeing show up at, majors, SI, you name it. We've seen them play better than this.
We certainly have, and it all seems to have stemmed on the back of that Mexico major. They went in there after a pretty solid stage 2. They were very competitive throughout stage 2. They went in there and we were thinking, right, EU are looking good for a showing at the major here, and then obviously G2 and Na'Vi had their issues and struggled to put the performances in, but we really wouldn't have expected that to continue and follow them back into stage 3, but it certainly seems to be the case right now.
I tell you what, if you didn't watch the pre-show, you want to go back and check it, because Fresh did a wonderful job of covering off Na'Vi's setup for the bar and stage site where we are currently heading ourselves into. And it looks like either Cowana were watching and have learned very quickly in the last couple of hours, Ace, or they've done their own studying. Because this is looking scarily reminiscent of Na'Vi's setup, where you potentially play someone downstairs with the C4 for denial. You play 2 or 3 upstairs and open up a bunch of holes in the floor so you can contest downstairs very comfortably. I think you have like 1 playing on site, and for Na'Vi it was Secretly, who was kind of the sacrificial lamb. He died very, very quickly, but from there Cowana simply could not attack well.
G2 are actually looking to potentially rush this. Jonker going to get in very quickly. He's going to open up that stage wall. That's going to allow a long line of sight should they choose to use it, but they're not going to push in behind that. Straight up onto the roof now, and if we remember back to what Fresh broke down for us, the particularly important area here is gym and bedroom. That's square right in front of you, because that's where all the soft flooring is, and that's where the defenders, Cowana in this case, want to play through those vertical angles. They've got the holes opened up that they need. They want to try and deny the plants from up there. So G2 need to think about getting in and making the move. Citizen, he's going to start doing that by taking an Arctic out on site. But if we remember the Na'Vi hold that we watched, Des, they got Secretly killed on site early round. It wasn't enough. G2 have to disrupt this verticality from Cowana.
Just feel like a bit of a freebie when you're left in there by yourself inside a bar. It's quite easy to collect things up, but G2, they've got that kill and gone, right, we're not going to push in and try and make the plant, as Cowana did, much to their own demise the other day. They turned their attentions up towards the top floor. They've got a few players starting to hover around there now, looking to apply pressure, but the vertical holes, that one, I don't know, that's the kind of thing you need to be expecting, I feel, Ace, especially when you know that you've seen the mirror window be deployed already facing into construction. You know they're going to make use of those vertical holes.
That's exactly why they are stationed up there. Benja going to take quite a bit of damage there, finished off by Citizen. Jonker does have an opportunity to get the diffuser down and will stick it. So this is finding the holes in the Cowana defence here to get that diffuser down and activated. Kills also come in from Virtue and Citizen along the way, and it leaves Grizzly fighting from upstairs. 1 versus 4. He gets 1 to bring it back to 3, and that is now what he faces with about 22 seconds left to make something happen.
Something tells me he'll be able to do so in a 1 versus 3. Unfortunately, he's the kind of guy who can clutch out, but in this situation where the diffuser is already down, it's simply not going to happen, especially when Citizen is rocking up and delivering a 4K. The entry that he found, the 2 kills that follow the mid-round, plus that closing final one. A good round for the player that we were waiting to see in those first 2 rounds. Na'Vi, I'm sure, somewhere sat there giggling, thinking, amateurs, you can't use our strat. That's ours. We figured this out first. And sure enough, G2 found a good way. That plant in the northeast side of stage seems to be the play because he couldn't be shot from
Well, it's
the
under
verticals.
construction. This is the thing. As Fresh pointed out, the particularly important area of that defence was gym and bedroom because that's where the soft floor is. That's where you can get the angles. There is the hatch there, but I think G2 had a man on construction window, so the hatch can't be played by the defenders then. And that's going to be the only way you're going to get an angle onto that spot more than likely to stop that diffuser going down unless you start using something like a nitro, or you'd have to have some sort of funny angle on it potentially from downstairs, which obviously wasn't set up for. So G2, as much as Cowana have probably gone away and looked at that hold and thought, yeah, okay, we could have our own version of that, I think G2 have gone away and thought, we might just be seeing that defence in the next Playday, so let's get ready for it. And they were prepared. Much better from G2, and hopefully that spurs them on. And this is going to be a bit of a better game than we saw in round 1 and 2.
This is one for them to figure out here as well, because Cowana once more are going for this top floor hold that we've seen a good few times, where you'll have 2 or 3 players roaming on the top floor. Don't forget, they did find themselves an early death down to Benja on the top floor. He killed Citizen with the C4 out the window. They all fell back to site and just let the clock run down until G2 were forced into so many unfavorable gunfights that it was very easy and clear to close out the round. So adaptation in this round, just like in the prior, is going to be incredibly important for G2, and not losing those early members, arguably the most pivotal aspect of all.
Cowana have changed his top floor hold slightly. It is very similar, but as you say, we've got Benja who's moved on to the Thunderbird, and last time the top floor corner station was actually stationed inside of gym. This time it's been stationed inside of bathroom near the shower unit, so we'll just see, you know, how much of an impact does that allow them to be maybe just that little bit more mobile. That was my concern originally with that position in gym, because it's just inside of the window there. You've got to play pretty close to it. You've got to keep tabs on that area. That is where Benja's playing, but with the rotation through, it's just allowing him a little bit further away from that corner station. He doesn't necessarily need to worry too much about the enemies using it. Now, much better from G2, Des. They've got that east wall open. That was something they struggled with when they were attacking onto gym and bedroom, but there's a bit less utility on there this time, so they've got that cleared out quickly. Now then, that dirt rush has not gone well, and Arkic was alive for the danger there. Gorgona finds Jonker, and it's all starting to fall apart for G2 potentially here. They're starting to dip away from this dirt tunnel rush.
Yeah, I mean, they tried what they could there to try and catch them off guard. A couple of gadgets being deployed upstairs to try and draw attention and not force the defenders to fall all the way back, but it has come back to bite them. Good resilience being shown by the Cowana players that were playing on site. Doesn't know that wall's being reinforced as well, because maybe you could have caught the man. Now, I was going to say that is the biggest freebie. I don't think he saw the second one being reinforced, but as soon as he heard that third one, easy close out. Virtue, good adaptation from the first round to get down there and catch the man on the reinforce.
I love that from Virtue. Is something that I came in saying we need to see a little something out of Virtue, and that's exactly the sort of thing I had in mind. Heads up play. Big brain move there to just wait for that sound cue and pop. Knew exactly where the head would be located. Finds himself a freebie. Kayak just trying to do the same with that vertical angle, but he's actually going to eat a ton of damage from the nitro underneath there. He is still alive for the time being, but if Gorgona chooses to take a spray through the floor here, he might just get lucky.
As soon as he sees him open this up, he can step across and go for the challenge. He must know that he's low as well. And there we go. Gorg finds another one. This time it's Citizen. He's like a piranha waiting below in a pit full of, I don't know, more piranhas, I guess, waiting to catch him out as he tries to dip his toe in the water. But not going to find the second man. Kayak being a little more passive here. They just don't know. They're a matter of pixels away from one another. And Gorg's going to back himself away, happy with the 2 kills that he's already found. An Arkic onto Virtue. It's a 4 versus 2 and 15 seconds to play. G2 clearly have not yet cracked this one wide open ace, because there's still so much more work to do, yet no time with which to do it. It's lost once again behind the mirror. The Mozzie off to his left. Surely can't stay alive. Gorg finds the 3k in the round. That'll be an easy closeout as Benja converts round 4 to Cavana's side.
Hungry in a terrible position at the end there, not in terms of his actual positioning within the map, but facing up to a mirror window like that with 10 seconds left to go and at a man disadvantage, it's never going to go in your favour. Cowana are able to close that one out. 3-1 now. We find them, and they are almost cruising here. We've had the one round from G2, but Cowana won't mind that. It's on their third choice site. It was bar and stage. They give it a go. Not the end of the world. I dare say on this rotation, if we get to round 6 and it's 4-1 Cowana, they'll be going to CCTV and cash this time, and they could well close out the round 5-1 here.
Well, they've avoided CC and Cash the entire way through so far. It's the one site they haven't played out of the 4 available. So maybe it's a sign of for some players that are saying... This is the thing I spoke about the other day with someone. I forget who it was, but it was like how we're seeing changes away on Villa, for example, from playing Trophy and Statue, where instead teams are going towards Dining as their second site. And although I think Aviator is still quite solid to play, for some players and teams, it's like, well... Teams know how to attack Trophy and Statuary. It has been the done thing forever. If it's not the strongest defensive site, go somewhere that's still got a little bit of work to be figured out on potentially. And that's what Dining currently feels like, where teams are playing it, because it isn't the most common. It can throw teams off. And maybe here Cash and CC has just run its course, and teams are just so used on how to attack it now that for some, they'd just rather not go there altogether.
Very possibly. We'll see in round 6. It's certainly going to be a choice for Cowana to make if they do get the win here. Because
Mind games, though, you could play any of the sides.
Baron stage was pretty comprehensive from G2. They pretty easily got in there. And the thing with Baron stage now for Cowana, having seen that G2 attack, is I don't know if they'll feel confident enough in adapting to what G2 did. Because how do you get to that plant spot? How do you prevent them putting the diffuser down there? It's the sort of thing that maybe just takes a little bit of thinking about. And that's why I think we might see them switch it up in round 6 if they get the win here. Now this is going to be close timing. Cowana just getting that mute jammer down in time. We can see the electricity just crackling across the front of the exothermic there, but it's not going to take much as the Thatcher EMP comes in. That's going to be cleared out. They do try the impact nade through the drone hole, but much less successful this time, Cowana, in keeping that breach closed, and that is better from G2.
The main reason being they didn't commit the mirrors out this time. I spoke about in the previous round. Normally you'd see them facing off towards Jacuzzi from bathroom. You see one facing up towards construction downwards. That's the setup they've gone for. So a more defensive backline to fall to on Cavana's side. Much more mobile out on the extended hold. Aren't looking to be as aggressive. Just waste a bit of time and get yourself back to site safely. They don't think G2 will fall for the same thing twice, which I completely agree with and understand. But you touched on it. Those Salmons all gone. They've got one exothermic left, and thankfully that one exothermic will be enough. With Thatcher, to be honest with you, if you've got Ace and Thermite available, if you aren't getting those walls open, there is a huge problem.
Losing Selma devices to an ADS is a big loss of utility. Virtue's got one left in pocket, but he's going to have to get moving pretty quickly. He's actually over on the hot tub side now, so I don't know how the clearance is going on in terms of Cash. We can see the silhouettes are still active in that direction, so Cowana certainly haven't been forced out of there completely or at all at this point. Sloth is still at the top of red stairs. East breach has been abandoned as there's no hole been opened up in Cash wall, and Sloth, he's going to be able to play there, and look at what it's doing. This is something that we talk about time after time. Why do teams try to take that east side? So that they don't have the pressure from CC window. Kayak was watching it because he knows it's a matter of time until Sloth thinks about aggressing onto that window and taking the men down that are on the south side.
There's another opening kill coming in. That's the 4th in 5 rounds coming out for the side of Cowana as they just get their way through this lineup. Another 2K coming in for Gorg. Finally shut down by Yonka on the south side window. And here comes the rotate. It's so predictable. Yonka knows that it's coming, but Benja still slinks away with about 50% of his HP. Both trading about the same, but still a numbers advantage for Cowana Ace.
It's about taking the challenge more than winning the challenge, because that is just going to put that fear into Yonka now. He knows that he has to focus on that window. He can't ignore it. He can't let it go, and with all the utility and all the noise that Citizen's making to get up these stairs, you can see Cowana know exactly where this push is coming from. 15 seconds left to go. This is going to be all about winning gunfights for G2. Jonka's trying to move around and get himself a little bit more unpredictable. Citizen gets caught in a reload after getting one, and the trap is sprung by Cowana. They managed to pounce at the same time, catch the 2 men from G2, and that is going to be 4-1 now for Cowana, and they are really gathering some pace here on Clubhouse.
One thing I'll always say is what I love saying about any game of Siege. It's like a game of football. There are 2 halves to it. Once we get to that halfway mark and G2 go on to defense, you could see a very different setup, because if you recall, our biggest criticism about Cowana in the past has been their plant-based play. They've been, frankly, terrible at covering plants for an Arctic where they haven't had vertical holes covered. They haven't had longer angles set up to watch out for any crossfires that might be set up. And they would just lose rounds to C4s or random shots coming from directions that they hadn't got covered. And although it's looked better so far in the first 2 play days, I feel like against G2 is the time to show that you guys have really got the gist of attacking now, that you've got these pieces together and you can make it work. So I'm excited to see Cowana on the attack, but for G2, I'm also holding out hope that we can see them win some more rounds back, because with how things have gone so far, I'm not convinced we see them win round number 6.
No, I would agree with you. The problem that G2 are going to have here is that East Breach again, because I dare say that we will see the mirror window played on there. We commented last time they got it open was with less utility applied there, and the main key factor there was the fact that there wasn't a mirror window applied. And if they do choose to do that this time, it makes it more difficult for the hard breaches to open. We've quite often seen it abandoned. The mirror window gets placed on there, it gets smashed out, the defenders shoot it out, and then the attackers just abandon trying to open this wall because they know that everything's going to get impact naded off. They're not going to have any joy whatsoever. So G2, they've got a decision to make. Do they try to push this East Breach, or do they decide it's not going to happen and let's go and get Gym and Bedroom side and push through construction?
Otherwise, everything looking pretty standard in terms of setup. Reinforced walls inside a garage. You got one man holding up inside of the rafters. You got Gorg trying to bandit trick behind a mirror. Something that has definitely made its way back into play lately. We've seen this being used more and more. No real impacts on side, though, of which to deny away any would-be attempt at getting that east wall open. So I think it's more for the information gain than anything else here. And it's kind of a, well, where else are you going to stick a mirror realistically on this site?
The thing is, even when it's not, you don't necessarily have to put the explosives out there. Just opening that window can be enough. But for the time being, Jonker is going to go for the vertical. We've got a lot of utility applied there. You're not going to get all of that cleared off. The exothermic charge does go, but the Selmas will survive. And that is the East Breach opened up. A lot of breaching utility applied to it, though. I don't know. We have seen the bottom of garage opened up, so they need to get Grizzly moving now. But not too bad from G2 so far.
They've done the work right. In 60 seconds, they've got the CC wall open. Again, it's criminal if you can't do that with the Thatcher on side and 2 hard breaches. One being up in your face, melee, you might call it, with the Thermite. The other being, of course, the range coming in from the Ace. 2 big kills for Citizen, those. Gorgona and Grizzly, both full. That's a great start that you want. Make it a 3K. It's going all the way of Citizen. Gets shut down finally by new boy Benja. C4 over the top, and it will connect. But Benja, he's got to clutch this out. He's already found 2. Can he get the next 3 as well, Ace? Because there's 80 seconds still to play with.
That's the thing now. G2 have an absolute edge. They can just sit back here. They can get the drones out. They can look for that information. Hungry himself has 2 available. We've got 1 on Kayak. There you go. They found exactly where the man is. But he springs forward. He gets 1. Surely not again, Des. He's challenging on the window. Hungry will shut him down. And that's going to be G2 fighting their way back to a 2-4 now. I will punctuate this half by saying that G2 have been worse on the attack than the defence. That's what we've seen from them over the last few months. So they can maybe get in here, turn this around. We could be heading the distance again here.
What do I often say when a player goes huge in a round, Ace? What do I call that play?
Hero play.
I call it a hero play. And what have G2 won 2 rounds off the back of in that half?
Hero plays.
Yep, a Citizen 4K and a Citizen 3K. One player going huge does not show that you strictly have the team play to close rounds out. And that is what makes me nervous. It is all good having a star player like Citizen on side, but you need more than just one person fragging their brains out on a map to come away from it successfully. That's where I'm a little bit nervous going into this second half. What impact can he have when, again, against Cowana, the players that we're always talking about, Benja, Grizzly, Gorgona, 3 huge names that we now have in EUL for this Cowana side. Sloth on his day also probably up there as well. It's been a bit quiet in the last few stages as we've seen so far throughout 2021, although he assures us the transformation is on the way. I don't know what a Sloth evolves into, but I'm sure it's something quite deadly, or at least I'm hoping so. This is going to be an exciting half, though. Cavana's shoddy attacks this year have stung them at points. G2 are strong on the defence. Is it enough to bring this back to either a decisive win or, at the very least, overtime? Those dreaded words. There's an ace, overtime.
Are they dreaded? Ooh. I love it. Honestly, that's what I'm here for. That's what I get up for in a morning.
Medics after the game was just like, oh, I hate you guys. Just like, we get it. He's like, it's always overtime.
Really. He loves it, really. I mean, I said it at the beginning of the stage, and I'll say it again. For me, every single game could go to overtime because that's the level of competition I want to see. That's how tight I want it to be. Every single game, everybody at home, us here in the studio, just absolutely living for these games that go the distance, that keep us on the edge of the seat, that really get those hairs standing on end, and that's what G2 Esports is all about. And
edge of my seat.
I think we could be on for another one here as G2 go onto the defence. I think we're about to see something a little bit better from them. Benja starts to try and push down the tunnel. Gorgona's going to take a lot of damage from the main stairs window there on a little peak, so that's going to leave him down at half health. But Cowana are moving quickly here, Des. They're already downstairs. Sloth's absolutely waiting for this. He's going to take care of Citizen, no problem, but Citizen's backed up by that man who I said needed to be his duo, his partner, his buddy. He gets in there and gets the trade, and that's what G2 need. Virtue, great play on the main stairs, 4 versus 4.
Dare I point out and say again, it's one of the key players that you want to catch out early and around the guy getting all your kills. That's a great push down as Yonka and Hungry both return back to site. A 2K coming out of Yonka. Kayak with the final for the shutdown, and G2 find an answer immediately on their defensive side.
There we go, G2 springing into action once they get themselves on the defense, lock down the basement, and round 8 comes up. They're going to be heading into this next defensive round with confidence now. No matter how much Cowana have been able to beat them up in the first half, they are now just 1 round behind. They're in touching distance, and G2 certainly aren't going to be scared by this. We've got a couple of players that are just in danger of starting to really get a head of steam behind them here, Des, and that is Citizen and Virtue, both going well so far, and Cowana, they need to manage that. They need to make sure they're on top of those 2 players, because if they don't, they could well pay the price.
What makes me well, not nervous, even excited, actually. And they say sometimes nervous energy is excited energy. I don't know how you want to look at it. We're going to bar and stage. We've seen some interesting setups on this site so far. So I'm really keen to see what it is that G2 roll out. And as soon as they put a shield down in a not the most default of plant spots, but a relatively default one, I'm already starting to get excited.
We're going to see something. I mean, well, the thing you've got to remember...
You've got a Kai.
It's brave, because you've got to think, Cowana lost to this site twice last week, so they're going to have done some work on this after Na'Vi made it very, very difficult for them to attack onto bar and stage. So G2, they're going to have something up their sleeves here. They're going to have something that they've prepared, that they're ready for, because I'm sure that Cowana are going to do things a little bit differently here. They're going to have gone away and studied this, and they're going to have known that they needed answers to this site.
This is essentially the same setup as what we saw coming out of Cowana on their defensive side. The one that we saw Na'Vi roll out, I'm sure they weren't the ones who invented it, but obviously teams have been running this sort of thing in scrims. Everyone's now aware of what the general setup is going to be, because once more you have a mirror looking into construction. You've got one facing out towards Jacuzzi. The only thing you've really got to worry about is those south windows. Otherwise, it's all about playing through the vertical holes into site, and there is always the sacrificial lamb playing on site itself. I'm not sure if that's going to be Hungry or Kayak, or potentially both, because if you're losing your one man on side of site an awful lot, stick 2 there and play for the trade at the very least.
That's absolutely it. Now, Benja, he's going to open up that east breach very quickly. It wasn't reinforced, so he's going to be able to move in towards this top floor, and it just shows how much utility has been applied to the gym and bedroom side of things to try and keep Cowana at bay on the attack. Now, logistics hatch open, so Benja here is just all about opening angles. He's all about applying pressure into sight. He's all about making G2 feel a little bit squeezed. There's not too many places for them to move around, and Sloth, was initially pushing in there, but he's going to dip away on the Iana and take a different approach. Grizzly, he manages to clear off the utility that's preventing an Arctic from breaching that wall, and just like the G2 attack, we're seeing this come in now towards a stage-sided push for Cowana.
I like it. It's very similar to what we saw coming out of G2, but it's going to be about having enough control that you can plant on the stage whilst ignoring those that are playing above. And of course, you have still got that mirror positioned above. They've got the angles coming down through the floor that you need to be mindful of. That's why you're seeing so much attention out towards this east side. It's a matter of droning. It's clearing out the utility that could get in the way. It's going to be that shield likely being removed out. There we go. So no man can sit behind that. I wonder if they know about Kayak being sat
essential.
here.
Kayak is essential.
I don't think he's been droned, and that's what makes me nervous.
Kayak is absolutely essential, because they're going to try to push in and put the diffuser down in the exact same spot that G2 did, which is just off to the right-hand side of your screen. And if they do that, it should be a really easy peak for Kayak to just step out, and especially with the Vector Des, he'll absolutely rip through them. Now, if that drone, I think it did see him, but they need to move him. That's the point. They can't even really take the risk. They can try and hold him down. They've tried with the nade. It's unsuccessful. So Kayak is now a problem in terms of getting this diffuser down.
And they have no nades left. They need to force him out another way. They've got to flash him, they've got to smoke, they've got to do all kinds of things to actually push and take the direct firefight, and that smoke is positioned perfectly, stopping them going for the plant. Cowana are down to 30 seconds in the round, and at this point, look a little bit out of ideas. They know they need to move the man, but the man won't be moved.
Sloth could be absolutely critical to this push. To get to a point of having to go in and put the diffuser down, the cover onto Kayak on the mirror is going to be extremely important, but right now Sloth knows he's being challenged from another angle, and Arctic, he's somehow managed to just worm his way in there as he's starting to get that diffuser down. Kayak steps out though, and that is exactly what I said was going to happen. Kayak steps out and gets that kill kill, but there's an opportunity. The diffuser is in hand, but no, G2 collapse, having absolutely none of it, and managed to shut down the Cowana attack, and that's going to level things up 4-4 on the scoreboard, and we got a game.
That is, I think, one of the most beautiful. I always come across these occasional rounds that I just go, man, Siege can be so beautiful. And that is one of those rounds where you just saw the chess pieces fall into place as the round went by. Cowana, brilliant idea for the attack, copying what G2 did. They exhaust all of their frag grenades, and only then do they identify where Kayak is. And at that point, it'd say, oh, crap, we've got to get this guy out of here. But how do we do it? And we just said for probably 90 seconds in that round, Kayak will swing and kill them if they try and go for the plant. What happens? They go for the plant, he swings and kills them both. It's beautiful from G2.
This was the problem because of the holes that G2 had opened up as well. Cowana couldn't push in onto stage to try and challenge onto Kayak to take that fight first hand because they had the holes opened up that allowed the challenge to come in from bathroom. That's how the smokes were being deployed. And also there's the verticality of the players up above. So there was no option to push onto Kayak. He was in a position that was very difficult to challenge with a gun. So instead what they opted to do was Anarchic, instead of planting on the stage, he planted at the double door near main door because obviously that meant that Kayak had to swing further out to try and find his man. But it didn't matter because Kayak got himself too and closed it out, and it was just really well defended by G2. I'm sure Fresh is very excited somewhere seeing the alternative setup working as well there.
Man's going to be slobbering away at the thoughts of what he can look back at later on. Now we've seen it twice today from both teams, and G2 attacking it successfully. Cowana not doing so on their side of things. Some good things to take a look at later into the game. And I do love that how we've seen the kind of verticality coming onto this map because you don't often see a ton of it on Clubhouse. It's normally a pretty horizontal map when you think about the sites, maybe exception given to downstairs because you have to go vertically. But I like that we're seeing this kind of top-down defense of a site.
Bender again onto the rooftop, just opening up the logistics hatch to allow the drop to come in potentially. It's gym and bedroom that they're going to be attacking onto, so construction control is going to be important, and opening that logistics hatch is part of achieving that. Now then, Benja needs to be very careful here. He's got Citizen once again aggressively playing on that main stairs mezzanine window. I'm not sure if he was aware of his presence or not, but he's going to move away. He's nice and safe. Citizen won't find any joy there for the time being. We're 1 minute in. We haven't really had any challenges yet. But Sloth, is he sending the drone up or down? That is the question.
Oh my god, the cross now they know. Oh, that's such unfortunate timing. A second early would have found himself a freebie then onto the man going for the cross. But surely now the call has come in. And let's not forget, this is the kind of thing we criticised for Carnivore against Empire on Bank. The number of times they had players, Empire, this is, sat inside of elevators and popping out and getting a couple of kills, really made it look like they just weren't being attentive with their drone-based play. And here, it could have stung them again. They, of course, now have the awareness. And the site focus itself is going to be the next port of call. Citizen still sat on those main stairs, however.
Anarchic there just trying to get that hot to wall open. He's down to his last exothermic charge. In comes the EMP, out goes another electrical, but I don't know that it will be successful. No, it was just marginally too late. So
got to impede again.
Opportunity is now there for Cowana to move in through the hot tub side. The Maestro Cam just trying to keep that mirror window clear for the time being and prevent anything going on there. Particularly the ex-Kairos pellets looking to get it opened up. They're going to have to deal with that Maestro Cam before they do. 1 minute left to go. Cowana with an opening kill there. Sloth onto Kayak. And I was just about to say Cowana needs something here, and
they found it.
They produce.
And again, Sloth with 2 huge nade kills in the round. We keep on speaking about this nade meta with Saturn. Eagle Mees on the last interview said as much. Now ain't got to worry about all these shields. You've got frag grenades, and they are shining through in this round for Sloth. No more remaining on side, but 2 nades, 2 kills. You're not going to be complaining. 5 versus 3, 30 seconds to play. We've got to see it push forward. Hungry finding a lying down Gorgona. A triple kill coming in for Sloth as well. It's more like a Gorgona in this round. Plant going down for Anarchic. 3 versus 2, but Sloth's also put in the dirt. Can Anarchic complete? Yes, he can. 2 versus 2, and now Citizen started to spring his way up. Sees the man, surely knows he's on main stairs. They want to try and go for the push it on here, but the man is already disappeared downstairs, Ace. They tried to go for the disable. Do they know about a man on the downstairs? One has got to come up main stairs here as well. He's going to try and rush his way forward because he thought the defuse was being stuck, but it's not the case. There's one. Anarchic wins, but Citizen wins the 1v1, takes the final 2, and G2 take yet another round.
Absolutely wonderful from Citizen there, just playing off the contact on his teammate knows exactly where that challenge is coming from then, and he can just pop up like a lethal jack in the box to take the man down next to the pool table and disable that activated diffuser. G2 have found something, Des, and whatever it is, they need to cling on to this tight because they are absolutely flying in the last 3 rounds.
Cowana are going to be ruining how that round played out as well. You get 2 freebies, 2 frag grenade kills come through from Sloth with the only 2 frag grenades the whole team has in their back pocket, and still they managed to lose the round. Like, I understood the intent that Gorgona was going for, but proning and trying to kind of snake your way into bathroom, probably not
I think
the best
flash
play.
as well, he got flashed. He sent a flashbang in, and it might not be everything, but it just seemed like it was another part. It was another problem in the puzzle.
Maybe.
It was.
I mean, he lost a fair and square
everything was
gunfight
there.
as well.
It was, it was just none of it was stacked in his favour.
It read a little bit desperate to me. You're in a 5v3.
Yes.
You can pause for a second. You've got 35 seconds to play with, and sure, you do manage to stick the plant, but unfortunately couldn't quite win out the 2 versus 2. That timeout for Cowana could be a difference maker because they clearly know there is so much going wrong in these last few rounds. 4 in a row. G2 have now won themselves back-to-back 5-4 for G2. Cowana, they were 4-2 at the half. They're now the ones who need to find an answer, or G2 will once again prove their nemesis and beat them on Clubhouse.
As I said, coming into it, this is a Cowana side that have been unable to beat G2 so far inside the EUL, and G2 are looking to cling on to that tightly. The thing is, they've not had the best start to Stage 2. They've looked a little bit shaky, but if they can come away after those performances, there's 2 wins out of 3. G2 are going to be very, very happy with that. There is no 2 ways about it now. We're just going to see a little replay of the end of things there.
It was smart.
It certainly is worth highlighting because Citizen completely predicts the play up there, and then look at how he plays off the contact there on to Virtue. They just play. You can hear the comms almost watching that. Virtue is sat waiting to go on to that disable attempt, and you just know he's waiting for Citizen to say, right, I'm ready, okay, go for it. And he knows he's going to lose his life to it, but it doesn't matter because the trade is there. Wonderful play from G2.
I think it was the fear as well for Benja sprinting his way up main stairs that defuse was, or the disable, sorry, still was in play, even though Virtue had dialed off. Good closing play from G2, enough to get them to that 5-4 point. Now we go down into Church and Arsenal, where they started out this half and won. Round 7 that was, in which they closed things out. The Jackal was inside for the side of Cowana, but ended up finding out there weren't really any roamers on the defensive side. That's a lie, they had a couple, and here it's going to be a similar story, I imagine, because you've got the Mute and the Mozzie on side. The Kite and the Mirror may be the slight difference maker here because it does give them choices to be able to lock down a hatch or 2 or really hunker down on site for when those roamers do fall back to site. That is, of course, assuming that anyone on G2 wants to roam up to the top floor.
Cowana are going to have to go in and make sure. That much is definitely the case. They can't just allow this one to potentially have somebody slip through the net. So we've got an Arkic and Benja up on the roof for the time being, just opening those access points. They will look to move in. Relay, as long as they get in the top 2 floors cleared by about the 1:30 mark, even down to the minute mark, there's still enough time. But Cowana don't want to leave themselves short of it wherever possible. So I'd like to see plenty of hustle out of them. Get in there, get the corners checked, get it cleared out, and then they can get on with what they need to do, which is opening the angles into sight.
They are being very, very cautious, almost like expecting a roamer to be somewhere, but it's in a way like G2 have kind of baited them out here. They've seen the Mute and the Mozzie and gone, must be an SSG roam. No, everyone's playing down on site for the most part, bar 1 or 2 lurking their way up the main stairs, looking to kill a drone or 2. But I imagine now they've spotted out that Mozzie, they'll know, okay, they're not playing out on their own, they are back on site. Let's speed things up a bit here and get our focus on trying to get kitchen open, getting the bar open, for example, moto open, sorry. Bearing in mind these things are electrified, that's a bit of work to do.
It is. Sloth going to be sending the drone in there, but you can see the Mozzie drone just chasing it along. Citizen just monitoring progress of that one, no doubt giving the call outs, letting them know when it's coming into sight. Exactly. Just looking to make sure that drone gets taken out. Thatcher is going to use that EMP. Out goes an electrical, but it will be unsuccessful from Jonker once again. We see that exothermic just able to go off in the nick of time, opening the bar hatch down into Moto. So that's a nice step for Cowana in terms of their assault onto this site, but with 50 seconds left to go, no presence at the bottom of main stairs just yet. Gorgona's heading down there, but they need to get moving to Cowana.
Hungry used that C4 onto kitchen there where Benja was playing but didn't catch the man in the end. They've still got 2 C4s to play behind. Yonka's the one finding Grizzly to kick things off, and that's the kind of start you want as this G2 side. It's about pressing forward now in these final 50 seconds or so, or 30 seconds, sorry, if you are on Coawana's side. Things need to pick up the pace. You spent so long clearing. Great grenade comes through. Now there's a man on the near side. He steps right. What on earth is he doing? He thought it came from above, but no. Sloth with a massive 2K coming in, a 4 versus 2. Cowana should not lose this round, but they're walking into lines of fire again. Sloth falling down to Kayak, a 2 versus 2. They've got to push for kills. If you're going to win it, Cowana, it's going to be this. It's a 1 versus 1, and Gorgona is going for the plant. Out comes the smoke. Could Gorgona stick it? Will he go too low? He sees the man. He knows. Oh my God, Kayak finds it again. A triple kill for him in the round, and G2 find 5 in a row and go to match point.
Kayak absolutely blasts Gorgona into oblivion, sending him straight through the wall there before getting in and disabling that diffuser. And what a round again from G2. This is unbelievable entertainment coming out of this lineup. It is just unreal. 4 versus 2, Des. They thought they were done, but they knew otherwise. Kayak behind that deployable shield. I picked him out. 19 kills across 2 matches against Cowana, and he comes out to thwart his old team once again. There is no stopping the yak attack.
Oh, drones. Cowana, information. It stung them so much this year, and we keep on talking about it. Not droning out those longer angles, not understanding where every player is when you go for the execute. And sometimes just awareness of the general area someone is in is enough. But in the 4 versus 2, they lose 2 members without so much as a challenge coming back the other way. Both just running into lines of fire and bringing it down to the 2 versus 2. They will be kicking themselves about this. And again, G2 hold firm, showing just how strong they are defensively. 1 round to go, and they take the win over Cowana and really get their season started.
And that is what they're looking for now. As I said, a shaky start. They're looking to really cement things here and just build up that momentum as the stage goes on. Right now, 6-4 and 1 round away, and Des, we're going back to Bar and Storage. Do Cowana have a plan this time? Are G2 going to play Kayak in that spot by the jukebox again to try and hold off on the planned attempt? It worked last time and Cowana didn't really have an answer, but they're not going to need to spot him on a drone this time because they're going to know that he's likely to be there. Cowana need to come in with a plan in mind in case that is what G2 do, and it certainly looks like that will probably be the case.
They've got to find an answer somewhere, Ace, that's for sure. Things have not gone well for them. Not a single attacking round for Cowana in this entire half. G2 coming back from having just 2 rounds all the way here to match point with a 2-round... Well, for Cowana, it's a 2-round deficit. For G2, it's a 2-round advantage. They've simply got to win this round, and it is all done and dusted. There's got to be a better answer from Cowana. It has been struggle after struggle, and here apparently the focus is going to be starting to clear up on this top floor to force those vertical holding players away.
Quick progress being made once again. This wasn't the problem for Cowana last time. They got into the top floor and they got control of the eastern side of things very quickly last time around. They were just unable to push into construction and bedroom with any sort of meaningful presence, and that allowed G2 to keep Kayak safe and keep him locked in. Now, Sloth, just aware that there's potentially somebody downstairs, going to position his drone there. Citizen needs to be careful that he doesn't get picked up if he does go for the flank, but whilst Cowana have 5 still alive, it is obviously reliant on somebody being viewing that drone to pick up on him as well. Now, Citizen looking for a potential nitro up the hatch there, but it's going to be Benja to open things up with a nice kill onto Virtue. Advantage Cowana.
Good start as well, but we've said this so many times. They find the entry kill and then things just slip away from them, even in a number advantage situation. That was up on the top floor, of course. There's still plenty more to worry about here. Citizen lurking on the downstairs. You've got a man or two. Oh,
that's big.
Baited by the drone, my friend. Sloth finding another one, but we were in this position last round of 5 versus 3 that they still ended up giving away. But there's 75 seconds on the clock, not 35 this time, Ace. Surely Cowana don't throw this one down the drain.
I can't see it. The big problem for G2 here is that they don't have Kayak in that power position. He was the big momentum shift last time, but Citizen, he manages to make it up even though there was a flank drone in place there. But as I said, with there being 5 still alive on the side of Cowana, those flank drones aren't always going to be actively watched, and Citizen takes advantage of that to get himself one onto an arcade. He finds Sloth. Citizen is doing what Citizen does best. He's making an absolute nuisance of himself.
Benja finally gets at least one back going their way. The 3 versus 2, but Citizen is still lurking. It's Benja upstairs. Does he see Hungry? Yes, he does through the floor. It's a triple kill for Benja. We saw this earlier on in round number 6. Benja, Citizen, both on 3Ks, but this time round the situation is reversed. Citizen in a 1 versus 3 to win it out for G2. He sees the diffuser down. No way, just no way can he break Cowana hearts like this. They've got 10 seconds. They have no idea where he is. He sees the man, but he's letting go past and he won't be able to stop it. But don't forget, there are the vertical holes already upstairs. Can he get in position fast enough here? Does he want to go for the drop? No. Needs to look for those vertical holes. Doesn't know where the plant's going down. Cowana will be able to stick it. Surely he doesn't win this one back, but you cannot write Citizen off.
Absolutely not. He takes the opportunity to just take his time, have a think, clears out the flank drone on his way back down, but in a 1 versus 3 diffuser down, you've got to say that the odds are absolutely stacked in the favour of Cowana now. Citizen just checking every single angle, just trying to find the first of 3 that he's going to need. He's got about 17 seconds to make this happen. The long angle is covered. They know exactly where he is now. Unlikely that he closes this out. He knows there's probably one outside the main door. There comes the challenge. It's going to be no other than Benja to shut it down, and Cowana managed to get themselves the first round in the last 5, and that takes us to the 12th round.
Benja 4K as well. I keep on speaking about those hero plays, but that's what you need in those moments. Someone needs a hero. It was Cowana, and they find it. Overtime for the second time today. It feels like it's coming, but they now need to win on yet another site they haven't won, unless G2 choose to stick, which it looks like they are. It feels like they're aware of what went wrong. They feel they can course correct here and get the win on bar stage again.
I feel like these teams are just trying to stress test my voice, to be honest with you, Des.
Mine's already cracked once.
Just pushing us to overtime every single time. Let's just see exactly how long Ace can get excited for before we absolutely destroy the man. But I tell you what, they're going to have to go for a might site longer yet, because I've got plenty in me, Des. We will keep going. 6-5 to G2 now. Cowana have the opportunity to take this into overtime. Where have we seen this before, Des?
Oh, gee,
let me tell you, we've seen it in Playday 1 and 2. Cowana are able to get back into things. They've shown great resilience, and if I were G2, I'd want this over before it goes to overtime, because Na'Vi and Empire, they've both found out what happens when you take Cowana there.
Oh. Diffusers get left on 0.014 seconds? Yeah, why not? It stacks in for it. Oh. Everything in my head is just saying to me, G2 should win this. They've shown throughout the whole entire second half they can do this comfortably. But if Cowana, by some miracle, find bar on stage 2 times in a row in rounds 11 and 12, throw the script out the window. We're in for one hell of a ride in overtime if we do make it all the way there. A real heavy, I was going to say a real heavy reinforcement coming in. This is a nice split with the Kite Electroclaw across both walls. Keeping that wall, of course, coming in from stage Electrified, plus the one here on Cash Wall. Beautiful.
Honestly, I love the creativity that we see with the placement of the electricals.
It's like on Cafe Freezer as well.
Yeah, you know, there's all sorts of nice little niches and nooks that people manage to get them into. I absolutely love watching it, and then I forget where they all are as soon as I step into a ranked game and just end up planting it on the wall. And that's why I'm not as good as these guys. But we're going to have the construction.
I think of many reasons, Ace.
Well, there's many others. There's many others, but we don't need to start listening. We're going to have some access opened up early there by a Narkick, and the pressure is certainly coming into that top floor. I think Cowana recognising that obviously that is one of the key areas that they need to be breaking down, making sure that the vertical is taken care of, getting control of the bar area. I mean, the big kill last time was that Kayak kill behind the shield. He got baited out by the drone. I'm sure G2 are thinking, if we just don't allow that to happen, Kayak don't come out from behind that shield for any reason, then they can get it over the line.
Stay crouched. I don't care if you're being grenaded out.
No
you
reason
stay behind
do you
that
move.
shield. Do not move. Of course, he's got mirrors to sit behind this time, which might be a little more secure with the reinforcements also being in place. However, half the round has nearly elapsed, and Cowana has still got their focus coming in onto this top floor. And they want to be getting themselves inside early on here. Virtue still lurking around, will likely try and drop himself away. Fortunate to not have anyone waiting for him, but now still got the mirror to play behind. Goes to the pre-fire, but misses the man here as well. Knows he's being pressured. He's got grenades singing in all around him. The Hibana's coming through as well. The Hibana is still there, but he can't quite connect these kills. He's got his ballet shoes on. He's dancing up and down, but Gorgona finds the kill. That's the top floor clear they needed, but can they push on to the rest and turn their attention towards the site?
You really want Virtue to be winning that when he's going to pre-fire that spot twice. It was just the ammo capacity. It was just, he was backing out of that fight, and Sloth, he's going to find Jonker, leaving us now 5 versus 3. Kayak has to drop away, and things are not going well for G2.
Kayak drops away, but he's got the C4. He's playing that rat spot downstairs in Moto where he can C4 onto a default plant, assuming they try and go behind the bar. And hopefully Cowana have learnt their lesson. It's a 5 versus 3. Once again, we have seen them throw away these leads all game so far. Let's ensure you hold on to this one, boys, and walk away the winner.
I think they're going to look to plant on bar or stage. To be honest, I think it's going to be stage. Benja looks to get the kill, manages to find Hungry. 5 versus 2 now as Cowana. They're starting to run away with this round. Citizen's got no option but to take long angles. They know exactly where he is, and the bullets just get peppered through into strip, but won't find the man.
No.
Kayak, he's got his nitro in hand, Des. This could be a big moment. It depends where an R-Kick chooses to put this diffuser down.
No.
He should be safe, but Kayak, he's going to have to really long on this. Out it comes, and there you go, just before the diffuser goes down, but Citizen gets found, and they know that he's coming from underneath. Benja's ready. The diffuser had been picked up. Cowana, they were well prepared for that possibility.
Teams are going to start asking for us to get fired. Ace, all these overtimes coming through. This is ludicrous.
We are literally costing points, Des. We are costing points.
The relegation teams especially, potential relegation teams, are going to grow to hate us if they don't already. We get to go again. 3 more rounds, and it's G2 starting on the defense. We have seen 4 and 2 defensive halves for both teams, so you would say the advantage here leans with G2. But with how these rounds have played out, 2 in a row, going the way of Cowana, we didn't think it was possible. They pulled it off.
They certainly did. And the thing is, it's about that momentum now as well. Cowana were a bit battered after those 4 back-to-back rounds, but somehow they've managed to turn it around. But now they're going to have to really double down. They're going down to a more difficult site. G2, they've been consistently able to lock this one down. We've seen them win it twice already in round number 7 and round number 10, and they're going to be looking for more of the same. But let's not forget, in round 10, it did come down to a 2v4.
And guess who threw it away? Cowana.
Cowana.
And then it came down to a 1v1 in the post plant. Who won it? Kayak. It was a close round, which is why I'm not really putting any stakes on this round just yet. All I know is I want all 15.
I just want more of this, Des. That's what I know. Whatever this is, I want more of it.
Honestly, we came into today and I was like, game 1 and 5, Na'Vi versus Secret in the last game. First game was BDS. 2 kind of write-off games that you give to those 2 teams to walk away the winner. We've had a screamer all the way through overtime so far. This one we knew would be close. I wonder what's in store for game 5. That's the big question.
Overtime?
Maybe. If you ask nicely.
I'm just starting calling it before we even get into games now. Jonka's going to apply that electrical to the Moto hatch. We saw him playing in that position previously. He wasn't able to prevent the hatch getting breached, but it's just about the time delay as well and the utility sink that it then takes to try and get that cleared out and get the exothermic charge on there and working, and it just eats up some of those EMPs that Grizzly will be carrying. Now, Cowana looking once again towards the top floor clearance. It's pretty much been the staple of their attacks. Get in there, top floor clearance, work down. G2, they've largely given this up.
I didn't like this last time because they took like a minute and a half to get the entire map cleared, whereas, the sort of thing you can do in the drone phase, assuming no one is playing upstairs already. They are going for this full clear, and there was a man just off to the left. Citizen out towards Strip. I just saw him slip by the left-hand side of the screen. Do they know? Is the best question. Have they seen him on a flank drone go past? Do they have any idea he's here? There is a drone inside a Strip, so they know that the man is around here. If they find him, suddenly it's a very different conversation to have, and they know that he's around but just don't know where.
The problem with the positioning Strip from Citizen here is once you get found, you're stuck, Des. There you go. They know he's there. How do you get out of Strip now? There's only one way out of it. You've got to go into that funnel that leads you to either bar or to bathroom, but you have to go through that point. So if they can hold an angle onto there is no escape for Citizen.
But think about how much time he's going to waste here already as well. Like, if he manages to get a kill out of this as well, beautiful. Sees the man step in. Now they know which angles he's holding and they can start contesting. Grizzly just walks in and still swings and gets the kill on Citizen. They have wasted about 100 seconds here clearing him out and the top side of the map, but with 75 seconds to play, they've got so much time to work with opening up these hatches and starting to look for a plant.
Absolutely, plenty of time left to go for Cowana here as they get the Moto hatch open. This could be advantage to Cowana after the end of this round, and then they move on to the defense where they were very, very solid against G2. Cowana just need to not make the same mistakes they did last time, running into lines of fire, not aware of where all the G2 defenders were located. This time we see Sloth sending the drone in. And he's going to be looking to just make sure that that does not happen again. Virtue just unaware of that drone sneaking past. Sloth manages to make it into boxes there. He's going to park it up
30.
and just try to find as much information as he can before this final push.
This could be a kitchen drop. Maybe there's two of them holding around in kitchen, which looks like that's going to be the play. So main stairs and kitchen set up. They haven't got any dirt control either. This is very risky with the angles of setting up, but a full flash coming in onto dirt as well. To see the man step out. Just got to watch this one, wait for him to come through. And there we go. The fire comes through, but can't quite connect the man. Two have dropped two to make sure the retake is there, and Kayak can't step forward. Gorg finds yet another. Plant is going to go down, but Anarchic gets smoked off. Does he go down? He's going in for a replant. Gorg finds yet another. The 5 versus 1. Gorgona goes huge and finds himself a triple. Hungry swings for 1, swings for 2, but the diffuser is down. One of the new boys on G2 has got to clutch it out. This guy's got years of experience, but you're up against some scary names on the other side, and you've got about 20 seconds to find all 3 ace. They see the head. Cowana have cracked the fortress open. They get round 13. One more, and they beat G2.
We're going to have to see the momentum really swing on its head here, as Cowana were great on the defence, and they've also managed to get 3 in a row. G2, they are backs to the wall, up against it here. There is a huge mountain for them to climb, and they're going to take the opportunity to take a tactical timeout and just try to slow things down. They need to come into this like it is just one round, as they need to forget everything that has gone before. They need to forget the outcome that rests on this round. It is all about round 14 and round 14 alone.
Silence all throughout the team, as I imagine it's Shas having a few words in the ear here about what needs to change in the next couple of rounds. Let's not forget, they've got to choose a defensive round in round 15. Do you risk going back, assuming of course they get there, do you risk going back to that site? Do you try bar and stage again, which Cowana have cracked now, or do you go upstairs and towards gym and bedroom or CCTV cache? We spoke about it. We've only seen CC cache once across the entire map so far, and that was in round number 6 by Cowana. So clearly not a popular choice. You can kind of have a good few guesses if you are Cowana as to where you will go. But first, G2 need to get through round 14. They're the ones on the attack. We spoke about those 4-2 splits. We really need some of that citizen magic in round 14, Ace.
They need something, Des, and magic is certainly the word to describe it. They need a miracle with the way some of their attacking rounds went. Cowana were extremely comfortable on them. They're going to be heading to Church and Arsenal, and if I have a look back, I can see round 1, round 4, they were both Cowana rounds. They are unbeaten in the basement side so far, and I dare say, Des, we're going to see that top floor game played once again, and Kayak, he's bringing the Jackal.
I mean, that's exactly what you're seeing. Look at the lineup as well. It's identical to what we've seen on that top floor. The Alibi, the Mozzie, the Thunderbird. It is nothing new or surprising. Really want to give a shout out once again, by the way. Gorgona's doing what he always does. He's absolutely popping off. Sloth, to me, is the player that I really want to celebrate in this game so far, because for someone who's performed relatively poorly all year long, you're starting to see him awaken now. This has been 2 games so far on the stage where he has played really well. And Benja, the new boy, imagine if you consistently get Grizzly, Benja, Sloth and Gorgona fragging out with an Arctic in the back line, putting the plant down
Terrifying.
for them. That's a horrific prospect. And I said this about Fav last week in APAC. They're very comparable because you just don't know in what games it's going to happen that players are going to frag out and just win a game for you, regardless of how well or how bad you're playing as a team. It's unbelievable.
If you remember coming into this one, I picked out the fact that in stage 2, Gorgona and Grizzly got 25 kills between them in this game, but they fell just short. It was 7-5 to G2. It wasn't quite enough. And in my notes, I'd actually written, can we get a third man stepping up? Can somebody else step up on the side of Cowana to just give them that extra 10% to get them over the line, to change it from 7-5 loss to maybe a 7-5 win, an overtime win? And that's exactly what we see. In Gorgona's done the same job once again, but this time it's Sloth and Benja, and they've got the trio instead of the duo, and it is just giving Cowana the edge that they needed. So far enough of an edge. Citizen has got the weight of his team on his back here as well. It's not all down to one man. Virtue and Kayak have had a good game as well. But is it going to be enough for them is the big question, because Citizen has been the one who in several of these air quotes hero rounds has gone big. Looking back to round 3, round 6, Kayak winning the 1 versus 1. There have been a lot of those big hairy rounds that have gone the way down to one player or not pulling it out the bag. This is the game to do it. Everyone on Cowana now back down to site. They have exhausted their roam. No one finding themselves dead or particularly injured.
So everyone now finds themselves back safely, and G2 have now got the onus on them to be the ones to acknowledge the map is cleared and start focusing on this downstairs. It was for Cowana about the 120 remaining mark that they started to really focus on the downstairs once G2 had already got themselves all back down to site, or in some cases weren't even playing upstairs at all. So here the focus for them has got to be right. Give ourselves a good amount of time. Let's not let this one stall out.
We're just so hungry in Virtues. Drones just sweeping across the map from west to east there, and as they complete that circuit, that is going to tell G2 everything that they need to know about access into site. They don't need to worry about the top 2 floors anymore. There is only the site des. That is the only focus that they need to have here. We can see the Inox scanner just coming on from Kayak there. He's just looking to try and get himself some footprints, whatever he can. If he can get something that's...
It's good with the shotgun.
If he can get something that's a bit of a hotter colour, he will get more pings. Now then, Benja, Gorgona, there comes in the nitro from Benja underneath, pre-placed and hits his mark. That's going to be the first. Jonker down, and that's the thermite, Des.
It's the one that you want to kill, really. Yeah, he's the man who you're looking to get in there and stick the plants, and now someone else has got to take on that responsibility instead. And Arkit, the one holding inside of Dirt, an area that on their attacks we didn't really see Cowana pressure, but clearly fearful of the same coming back. And here he comes. The action man swings into action. It's Citizen finding one onto Gorgona, who's had a brilliant game so far. They've still got 2 stacked up inside of Dirt. Everyone holding out towards the east here as the flashes start coming through. Doesn't go for the full flash, and here comes the push. They get the spray down, but it's Virtue who finds it first. He's down, traded out immediately on the other side, and it's Citizen on the upstairs. Plant is going down. Can they swing out for this? They know about the man. They must know that he's there. They've seen this so many times, but he can't get him in time. It's Citizen upstairs. The big closeout. G2 get around 14, and yet again we go to 15.
What is going on here? Both teams struggling to pick up attacks through the regulation time. Get into overtime, not a problem at all, Des. We'll go in there, we'll take site, we'll get the diffuser down, and we'll win out rounds. And both Cowana and G2 managed to do that. You just feel, does that give G2 an advantage in round 15 here, coming back onto the defence? Surely that level of attack can't just continue after what we've seen, but to be honest, this one's just absolutely shredded any sort of idea of what might happen, and it is just on a knife edge right now.
We have seen CC Cash once in round 6 when Cowana defended it. G2 for the first time in round 15 are bringing out a site they haven't gone to yet. I hope to God they've got something special planned here. Electro Bros, Kaid and Bandit, maybe that's the go-to answer, I don't know. But that's where they've rolled the dice on in this round. Now for Cowana, it's also their first time attacking it, let's not forget. Easy, we do apologise that it's yet another overtime tonight. We're not really popular back there, Ace.
Not with the observers so much. Not with the observers so much, but we all love a good close game, and I'm sure it is exactly the same for those guys as well as you at home. So we are in round number 15. It is G2 versus Cowana, Clubhouse in EUL Playday 3, and we are going the distance. Cowana have been unable to find a win against G2 in EUL so far this year. This is their opportunity. Surely it will not be a third consecutive overtime win for Cowana. Empire, Na'Vi, and now G2?
The thing is, you know full well, Fresh somewhere is moulding at the thought of it. This was last year, going to 6-6, he was like, oh, well, draw's got us relegated.
I'm sure he's...
Milosh was going to nick that. He's really sad I've just said that.
I'm sure he's absolutely livid.
Not as livid as the players will be whoever walks away on the losing side of this. It would be such a kicker after going all the way to 15 to find yourself walking away the loser. But sadly, one team does need to win and one does need to lose. There can't be everyone's a winner in Siege, unfortunately. Doesn't quite go that way.
Top floor clearance will begin then. They're looking to move in and just scare anybody out of the bathroom side of things. The site, of course, being CCTV and cash, so try and get that bathroom, bedroom under your control and then look to push into construction. That is the side of the map that Cowana are stacked up on at the minute. They're not worrying about the East Breach, not worrying about Garage, and that's going to allow G2 a little bit of breathing space here to settle into the round and just... I think they'll realise pretty quickly that's where the pressure's coming from as well, because as soon as the East Breach doesn't get opened or one of the lower garage walls doesn't get opened, you know that the push ain't coming that way.
It makes me nervous. The number of times we've seen teams just bail on Garage and opening up CC and instead just go for a solo like cash push, it doesn't work. But I think BDS are the only team we've seen in the last 18 months make it work when they just march into site and mow down all of Vitality. It just never goes well for teams with very few exceptions. And I'm nervous for Cowana unless there are more angles to their attack, more facets to it. They might find themselves getting stung.
You can hear the utility just going absolutely wild in the distance, and that's going to be the construction wall open. 1 minute 15, there's plenty of time on the clock. That is certainly something that Cowana have on their side. Sloth just trying to work vertically there, shut down by Citizen. That is a big, big opener. G2 have a serious advantage here, Des. There is no East breach, there is no garage presence from Cowana, and now they are 4 versus 5.
Oh, they've got to make something happen here. And for an Arctic, that plan was to rotate entirely out of Master and Gym and Bedroom, and get yourself onto that east wall. But again, you've got to deal with the potential blockings here coming through from these electrified gadgets. They are going to stick it. The MP is going to go off. That wall should be opened up. They're going to try and ban it, trick it off. Do they get the right wall? No, they don't. It gets opened up. They've got both, but they need to make this happen. Once again, Cowana have got 30 seconds, and it's 4 versus 5.
It's very late to make that sort of rotation. Grizzly taking a lot of damage there. Benja just trying to hold down the top of red stairs. Grizzly does manage to find one onto Hungry as a trade, though, because an Arctic went down. That leaves the diffuser in the hands of Grizzly. 13 seconds left to go. He's going to start planting, and Benja is essential key to this. He tries to hold down red stairs, but he gets shut down. Grizzly's going for the plant again. Killed out, and G2, they mop Cowana up like a spilled drink in CCTV cash. They close down Clubhouse, and in what is a very tight game, G2 manage to find themselves the minor difference that takes it over the line.
You say minor difference, I say major. Citizen on your screen, 2 massive rounds in overtime, a 3 or a 4K from the kitchen hatch, 9